the truth is out there. But so are lies.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Ninsky. So, in today's video, we're doing a continuation of our X-Files series, just discussing some things that I believe are sort of unsolved. So, these are things in this series that are going to basically be just theory. There's nothing solid here that I can provide you, so it's just a clear, open discussion as to some of the things in game that I believe have been forgotten about that are very important, such as the symbol that we have drawn in the sand here. So a lot of people know what this is, but for those of you who don't, you've obviously got the eye symbol or the UFO symbol or the sun at the top of the mountain. This glyph has been used before on the mountain itself, but it's out here in Sandy Shores. And right next to it, you've got the wow signal and this pillar here with red, gold, and green colors on it. We also have at the top of it the red arrow, which takes us to the hippie camp and the depictions of the aliens that are also represented at the hippie camp. So, yeah, this is something that I truly believe has not been solved at all, and it has importance because if it wasn't important, it wouldn't be here in the first place. So, if we're going to talk about theories, we have to sort of follow the path before we can even get started with that. So what we're going to do is basically follow that red arrow that's at the top of this pillar, and that's going to take you straight to the next location, which is the hippie camp. So we'll go there. So I just took a screenshot of what I wanted to show you at the hippie camp. It's just too hard for me to fucking hold a controller and hold my phone at the same time. Eventually, we'll get a better setup like a tripod and whatnot, and we'll go from there. I would record straight from the game on my PC, but I have next to no hard drive space at the moment, so even making these types of videos, I have to delete everything once it's made just to make space for the next video. So I do apologize for that aspect, but what's important is the information, not the gameplay. Anyway, so here we have the wow signal, which we just came from at the sand glyph, and the red arrow that pointed us towards the hippie camp. One thing that I want to talk about with this area, I know we've touched on this area a little bit before in the past, but I want to talk about something that really does keep me up at night, and that is this fucking space car here, or this UFO car here. This to me is obviously a clear representation of the space docker. It's a car and a UFO. The space docker is a car made out of UFO parts, right? Also, we're led to believe. Not only that, but the space docker has a very unique horn. It has several unique horns, actually, and signals emit from that horn. So here we have the fucking wow signal, we have the space car. So the thing that's bugged me about all of this is that what stands out to me is that what this is pointing to is a location on the map. So what we have here is a red arrow, right, pointing at this location. I've tried to decode the shit out of this over the last 9 years, and I haven't really truly been able to find a physical location other than what seems to be too obvious, which I'm sure a lot of people already know what that is, but we'll go talk about it soon. But my takeaway from this, the only thing that I can really sit here and say I'm 100% confident in is the colors. So this blue has to be water. It just has to be water, because then from the blue we then have yellow, or like a beige. So this is like sand. Okay, and then from there the ground elevates up to a mountain behind us. Now, this car is pointing towards the 3D rendition of Mount Chiliad. I'll flip the camera around and I'll show you that now. All right, so I've turned the camera around, and as you can see, the car itself is pointing towards the mountain, with the ocean sort of on the right side of the front of the car. It's not like the car's facing the ocean, it's this way. So there's a couple of other things that we can talk about here. Like, for example, on this pillar, there's a red arrow that points this way, and then that hits another arrow at the liquor store right next to Trevor's house, which points that way, which is essentially where I believe this position is going to be. You have this road as well that is sort of like a teardrop loop shape. You have the 3 a.m. symbol at the top here, and behind me here at the top you have the rain glyph on top of this hill, this mountain. So next we'll go to the location where I believe this is to be. That being said, the only thing that throws it off is this tree. Now, I do believe I've found this tree somewhere else on the map. I'll show you later. But first we'll go to where I believe for a long time this location was. Okay, so now we are at Stab City. And this is where I believe the location at the hippie camp is pointing out, mainly because of the shape of the road, and its teardrop shape matches quite perfectly with the yellow brick road at the hippie camp. Not only that, but also if we were to have the space docker in the center of it facing the mountain, the water is just here to the side, like I was saying, with the sand leading up to the pathway. Then in the background we have the silos that have got the same graffiti as the hippie camp. So it's just interesting that these things are here, alongside Stab City, far away from the hippie camp, and right in front of that loop road hook, and the Mount Chiliad there as well. As you can see, this is why I need a tripod. But this is the area that I've looked at for a while. So as you can see, you'd have the hill that goes up behind the space docker if you were to be parked somewhere around here or in Stab City itself. I haven't been able to trigger anything at 3 a.m. and raining using the horn, but when it comes to testing theories in this game, there's so many variables within the story mode itself that it's kind of like shooting in the dark, which is something that I try to avoid doing. I'd rather sort of talk about the theory side of things and solidify what I found with fact. The next location I'll take you to is the second possibility, and it is on Mount Gordo. Okay, so here we are at the waters of Mount Gordo. And this is the other location I believe that they might be pointing out to us, mainly because of the deadwood tree and how this tree here is representing that same tree. It's on a raised platform going down to the water's edge here. So I'll put a comparison of that on the screen for you now. Again, this is just purely theory based. It's nothing to be taken literally. It's just, talking about ideas. Okay, so coming back to Stab City at night, what's quite interesting about this location is the lights that show up. And on the main center stage here, we have the three colored lights of the three protagonists that we have in game: blue, red, and green. So that to me is another indication that all three characters need to do something in this area along with the space docker. I'm going to throw a quick photo back here of the hippie camp and the space car at the hippie camp. I want you guys to take notice of the table and chairs. We have one table and two chairs, as well as the space car. So that is 3 seats for 3 people. And here at the Stab City location, where I believe the hippie camp is showing us, we have the 3 colored lights. Last thing to talk about in this location is this red sign here, and how it's the only sign of its type in the whole map. Just over there we have the 78 and 10 sign, which is important for its own reasons, but that particular sign can be found in multiple locations around the map, whereas this one here is solely found here. As far as I'm aware, if anyone knows if it can be found anywhere else, please let me know. Now, what's interesting about this location and this color is that when Trevor huffs gas, this is one of the locations that he can wake up from. So, being that we mentioned the 3 lights over in Stab City and how they represent possibly the 3 characters having to do something, seeing as though we have the color red here and Trevor waking up here when he huffs gas, that could be Rockstar's way of telling us that this is where Trevor needs to be in that part of the equation. So the last thing I want to talk about is the effect that I showcased when I slowed down the last part of the video, and that's the effect that you're seeing now on the screen. What interests me about this effect is that it happens even when I'm not inside a vehicle. So this is clearly a EMP effect that affects your vehicle and causes your helicopter to lose power. But as you saw in the video, I jumped out of the helicopter and this effect still happened on the player. So it really does sort of bring up a question to me as to why I'm seeing this. And one idea that Herbalist 40 talked about long time ago was that possibly there are aspects in the game that are somewhat a dream, and he tied it in with Michael. But as you can see, I'm clearly Trevor. Now, I'm not saying that the theory and this are related at all, but it stands out to me because this effect is being showcased to us, the player, as opposed to more so any sort of character or any sort of vehicle. So I don't know. One thing that comes to mind is simulation theory and how possibly this effect happening to us might be pointing towards that. Again, it's just throwing mud at a wall, seeing if something sticks. I've never heard anyone else bring something like that up, so I'd like to see what you guys think about that.
I've seen enough, Mulder. Let's go.
Yeah, okay. But somewhere out there, something is watching us. There are alien forces acting in ways we can't perceive. Are we alone in the universe? Impossible. When you consider the wonders that exist all around us. Voodoo priests of Haiti, the Tibetan numerologists of Appalachia, the unsolved mysteries of unsolved mysteries. The truth
The truth. The truth.
is out there.